It resembled a magnificent palace or a grand hotel, but its walls weren't crafted from stone. They were formed from immense milky white clouds. As I approached the grand entrance, the doors seemed to float open automatically. I stepped into an enormous hall, so vast and high that the scale of it made me feel dizzy, as if I were standing on air itself. A brilliant light, akin to sunshine but distinctly different, reflected off the cloud-like walls. Far across the hall, I spotted a figure behind a large reception desk. This is just like a hotel, I mused to myself as I began the long walk toward it. What a breathtaking place! This must be heaven. A profound sense of joy washed over me, and a smile spread across my face. Well, Michael, I thought, you spent your whole life trying to be a good person. You always did your best to help others, to be kind, and to love your neighbor. You always believed this would be your reward, and here you are. I was so happy I felt like singing, and I believe I did, albeit quietly, not wanting to disturb the serene peace of the place. When I reached the desk, a man who looked to be in his mid-40s, dressed in a shimmering green suit and a golden cloak, was waiting for me. "Name?" he asked, looking up from a futuristic console. I told him. He typed it in and found my file. "We need to confirm some details," he said impersonally. "When were you born?" I gave him the date. "When did you die? The exact time, please." "Early this morning, I believe," I replied. "Around 5:30, though it's hard to be certain, given I was, well, deceased." I offered a small smile, but the receptionist's expression remained cold and detached. He had the calm, polite demeanor of a British butler. "Occupation?" I told him. He then proceeded to ask for details about my family, my friends, my habits, my favorite foods, essentially a complete catalog of my life. It felt more like an interrogation than a welcome, but I was too relaxed and happy to mind. "You have a wonderful place here," I said, trying to make conversation. "It's exactly how I always imagined it." The man didn't even look up from his screen. "And this is, if I may ask, heaven, correct?" I asked, already sure of the answer. "I'm just so thrilled to be here. The only downside is that all my best friends are probably going to end up in hell." I chuckled at my own dark joke. "This is not heaven, sir," the man stated, his tone polite but chillingly firm. "This is merely the reception area." I was stunned. But it has to be heaven. Why else would I be here? And why must it be? Because, well, you've seen the details of my life. I've always been a good man. Good people go to heaven, and bad people— "Everybody says that, sir," the man interrupted flatly. "I understand that's the common belief on Earth, but we operate on a different logic here, a more practical one. Consider the logistical problems if it were that simple. Heaven would be sparsely populated, while hell would be overflowing. There simply isn't enough room. Therefore, we have a more pragmatic system." "A pragmatic system?" I asked, a knot of fear beginning to form in my stomach. "Everyone must take their chance," he said. "Chance? What do you mean, chance?" Just then, his computer buzzed and printed out a small slip of paper. "Here is your reception form, sir, and this is your green card," he said, handing them to me. "Go through the doors behind me and follow the road. You will see two large gates. In front of them are some slot machines. Insert your green card into the machine on the left. Two dice will appear in the display window. Pull the handle. If the total is any number from 1 to 6, the machine will issue a white card. For any number from 7 to 12, it will issue a black card. The white card opens the gate on the right, which leads to heaven. The black card opens the gate on the left." He paused. "The left one goes to hell." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I stared at him, my initial joy turning to outrage. "But that's not fair," I shouted. "It's as fair as we can make it, sir," he replied, unmoved. "But it's just random. It's luck, an accident. It's a lottery." "Yes, sir, but these are the rules. We cannot change them." "The rules!" I yelled, now furious. "This means that someone like Jack the Ripper could be in heaven?" The receptionist seemed to ponder the name. Jack the Ripper? I've heard that name before. Let me check. He opened a large digital file. Ah, yes. He arrived about a century ago, Earth time. As I recall, he was quite pleased with our system. I'll bet he was, I seethed. And I'm sure he went straight to heaven, didn't he? I glared at the man, demanding an answer. Well, did he? I can't disclose that, sir. You see, we don't know. Nobody knows who ends up where. That's a divine secret. A divine secret, I cried in disbelief. Oh no, no, I am not going to spend eternity with murderers and monsters. It isn't fair. I stamped my foot on the cloud-like floor like a petulant child. You must take your chance, sir, just like everyone else, the man said coldly. But don't you understand? All my life, I tried to be a good person. For the first time, the man looked slightly uncomfortable. I'm sorry, sir, but your personal history is not relevant to the fundamental laws of the universe. What laws? What are you talking about? If I remember correctly, he continued, a Mr. Albert Einstein arrived here about 40 years ago. He was a good man, I believe, much like you. And like you, he was very upset by our system. He couldn't accept it. He famously said that he didn't believe God plays dice with the universe. I had to inform him that God most certainly does play dice, and that is the fundamental reality of existence. Mr. Einstein was quite unhappy about that, especially since he had helped discover it. I was too stunned to speak. I took the form and the green card and walked numbly toward the doors behind the desk. They floated open to reveal a long road. In the distance, I could see two enormous gates, one of shimmering white crystal, the other of polished black obsidian. They both shone like giant jewels. I walked down the silent road, flanked by great clouds that trembled and shifted in a soft, ethereal wind. The very light around me seemed to pulse, shifting from brilliant brightness to deep shadow and back again. I finally reached the gates. As I looked at the black gate on my left, my heart hammered in my chest. What lay behind it? Who lay behind it? Then I looked at the white gate on my right and trembled with a different kind of fear. Who or what was behind Heaven's Gate? I inserted my green card into the slot machine. It buzzed to life, and the display window lit up, showing 2 dice. My hand rose to pull the handle, but I hesitated. Not yet, I whispered to myself. I need to think. I need to sit down and wait. So I sat on the road and began a frantic, whispered conversation with myself. This is terrible. I never smoked, never drank to excess, never gambled. I never stole a penny or intentionally hurt a soul. Of course, I was careful with my health and my money, but who isn't? I wasn't a fool. And now I could be condemned to an eternity with thieves, murderers, and corrupt politicians. It's unbearable. I sat there for what felt like an eternity, talking to myself like a madman. Every so often, my eyes would drift to the machine's handle, waiting for me, and I would shudder. Well, I reasoned, it's better to be in heaven, even if Jack the Ripper is there. People say it's a beautiful place. I clasped my hands together. Oh, dear God, please, please let me get a white card. I prayed with all my heart, and after a while, I felt a sense of calm return. I felt optimistic, confident that divine favor was on my side. I stood up, walked decisively to the machine, and pulled the handle down hard. The dice began to spin. I squeezed my eyes shut, then forced them open. The first die stopped on a 2. My heart leaped with hope. Then the second die stopped on a 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. Silence. Then, like a photograph developing before my eyes, the card slowly emerged from the slot. It was black. I fainted. When I came to, I sat motionless for a long time as hot, bitter tears streamed down my face. I was going to hell. I knew it, I sobbed. I've always been unlucky. But there was nothing to be done. I had to enter the door on the left. I had to go to hell.
I took my black card and inserted it into a slot beside the obsidian gate. As it began to swing open, a strange, pleasant, aromatic scent wafted out. I stepped into another great hall, this one with a reception desk at the far end. The walls were made not of fire and brimstone, but of swirling black smoke and soft, glowing red embers that were beautiful rather than menacing. Behind the desk sat a pretty young blonde woman who greeted me with a warm, sweet smile. "Hello there," she said in a friendly voice. "May I have your reception form, please?" I handed it to her, and she began typing the information into her computer. "Why do you look so glum?" she asked, her smile never fading. "You're a lucky man." I laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "Lucky?" "Here's your room key," she continued, ignoring my tone. "We hope you like room 206. You'll find everything you need inside: drinks, magazines, a change of clothes, a bottle of fine wine, and everything necessary for your comfort. We have a reading lounge, a swimming pool, tennis courts, and card tables. We hope you will enjoy your eternity here." I stared at her, trying to see if she was mocking me. "This is hell, is it?" I asked sarcastically. "That's the official name, yes," she replied cheerfully. "But we call it Paradise Regained. I suppose you thought it would be a terrible place. Things have changed a lot. We've made it much better." "Who is we?" "Oh, there are so many good, kind people here, I can't remember all their names. Let me think. Well, there's a lovely gentleman from India, a Mr. Gandhi, and a nurse named Florence Nightingale." "You mean those people are all here? In hell?" "But it's not really hell anymore," she explained patiently. "It's because of the dice, you see." "No, I don't see. Please explain." "Well," she said, leaning forward conspiratorially, "for a long, long time, an unusual number of good people happened to score higher than a 6 and received a black card. So now there are far more good people here than bad people. It's a statistical anomaly, of course, a very unusual one, and it will certainly change back to the mean eventually. But," she shrugged with a smile. "So God fixed the dice for a joke or something?" I asked, bewildered. She looked slightly shocked. "Oh no, I'm sure God is an honest gambler. It happened entirely by accident. Let's just call it another one of God's little secrets." She gave me a playful wink. "What about Jack the Ripper?" I asked. "Is he here?" She quickly checked her file. "Nope, not here. He must be on the other side, in heaven." I burst out laughing, a deep, genuine laugh of pure irony. "So are they having a bad time over there?" The receptionist leaned in closer and said quietly, "Between you and me, we've heard they're having a lot of trouble in heaven." I laughed again until tears of happiness streamed down my face. "Welcome to Paradise Regained," the woman said with her big, sweet smile. "Have a nice eternity." "Thank you," I said, feeling better than I had on Earth. Just then, an intercom on her desk buzzed. "Reception 3 speaking. How can I help you?" she answered. As she listened, her cheerful expression vanished, replaced by a look of dark anxiety. "Oh, I see. Thank you, Reception 1. She hung up, her face pale. "Something wrong?" I asked. "Well," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "as you know, the situation on Earth is very turbulent right now, and a lot of new people have just arrived. Reception 1 says a large crowd is at the dice machine." A cold dread crept into my stomach. "Who are they?" "Reception 1 says it's a group of terrorists, child killers, mafia dons, football hooligans, drug barons." "Stop, please stop," I shouted. "We can only hope that our luck continues," she said, her sweet smile completely gone. She was staring at the entrance with frightened eyes. I cried out, "Please, God, let them all go to heaven. I pray, I pray." "I'm sorry," she said softly, "but praying won't help." "It all depends on the dice," I said, laughing and crying at the same time. "And that's God's secret." We waited together in a long, terrible silence.